Welcome back to Indigo Moon. I hope that you're having a great day. Today, I guess I'm going to have to go hard, okay? A little heavy today. This topic is a little heavy because I had a bad dream this morning, and the dream entitled Going to a Funeral. And when I tell you the colors, I don't have a lot of color in my dreams, but the color red stood out. The children, everybody who was at this funeral, it was horrible. So I'm hoping that we can really look at how we check in on families. Anyone who you know who has children, and you know that maybe the child looks like they're a little hungry. They don't look like they've eaten. Maybe their clothes are tattered. Maybe you might want to just say, offer some help, or maybe offer to take them to the library. I don't know. But whatever the case is, there's a family who's in need of help. The mother is depleted, and she's stressed, and she's also an alcoholic. Some of the signs of an alcoholic person might not be, maybe you can't pick up on it because you don't know any alcoholics. Maybe the mother seems a little stressed or overly stressed. There is no book on perfection where, the mother is supposed to be, in society, we put a lot of pressure on mothers, and single moms really have a hard job. This woman has a husband or boyfriend. There's someone who lives in the house with her and the children, but they're going through a lot of stress. He needs help and she needs help. But in social services, CPS has been called in this matter in the past. And they just really need help. So I'm hoping that anyone who's listening to this PSA, whatever you want to call this video, that you check in on the family members that you know. If you notice, this child was missing for a period of time. This child was, nobody saw this child. Everyone else, the mother had everybody else on who went to the family events, but this child was always left behind. This child, the mother and the father they had this child, but it seemed like it was not a happy pregnancy. When I say postpartum depression is a serious thing, when the mother has issues that she's not, that she's not healed from, it can bleed into her adult life when she has children, and that postpartum depression. I had two parents in my life who went and signed themselves. One signed herself up to the hospital when she went through postpartum depression, and the other one ended up having to, go to the hospital to take that time because, she was depleted and having childhood memories that were not healed, excuse me, properly. It's important that we look at the families nowadays. I mean, Halloween is coming up, people buying costumes. People notice when there's a problem with a family. They might ignore certain things, certain signs, but now is not the time to ignore the signs, because this child, I believe, is in danger. If the father and the mother have a problem and the father decides that he's going to leave, that child is going to be left in a bad situation. Because, okay, I'm going to give you a perfect example. Growing up, I was the youngest with the first batch. And, my mother, when she looked at my brother, she saw my father. When she looked at my oldest brother, she saw his father. And his father, was not exactly, he was a very selfish man. And, my mother didn't do a lot of talking about him, but I'm telling you that when she would, the arguments that she would have with my older brother, the way that, I cannot say he was treated properly either. There were times where he was just, she would be upset with him, and you could tell that it stemmed from something bigger. This is why when a parent needs a break and maybe you want to babysit or whatever, when parents, when it's more of a healthy family, a parent will say, you know what, can you babysit? Because I need a minute. And you can give that person that time. I met a young lady recently, on public transportation. I was going someplace. And she said that, she just needed some time. She was glad that her mother was there to babysit so that she could actually take that needed time. She needed some adult time, you know. And I felt like she was very healthy in saying that she needed it and taking that stand and doing so, because you're better ready to deal with the children and to love them more compassionately when you've had a break. Take the break so that when you come back to the family, you can really enjoy and appreciate that time that you get to spend together. Everyone does not have that. And when you do have it, please don't take it for granted. You know, this child that I'm talking about, it's funny because I've never met this child, but I have had dreams and connections with this child. That's the reason why I know this child feels alone, and the child knows that it's been mistreated. It's almost like this child needs to be it needs to be adopted or something. This child has been mistreated from the very beginning. If you don't want a child and you had the child, maybe you can reach out to someone to see if someone else can love this child. This child needs love. This child is left behind and everybody else gets to go, and this child stays behind. I keep thinking South Carolina. I said Seattle, but now I'm thinking it's Colorado, New Jersey, New York, whatever. But if the family knows there's a connection here, I don't know. I feel like I know the father. I don't know. Whatever the case, maybe I don't know, maybe I've met the person before. Either way, this child is in need of help. So if you know, I don't know if I shared it on this channel, but I was once a social worker. And in being a social worker, I had to teach parenting classes. This mother did not have that nurturing. She did not have her own mother's support growing up. So part of her drinking is because she didn't have the help that she needed. And she feels guilty. Apparently the man has made her feel guilty for her position. And they're not really together. I think she has people that she deals with and he has people he deals with, but they come together for the children. You're not doing any children any favors if when you're around them, you're mistreating them or fighting in front of them. You know, I'm not a specialist. You know, I'm not totally professional in this department. I was a social worker for a year, less than probably a summer social worker. But I've been a teacher for years, and I mean, the double numbers on that one. So I do know how to deal with children. I know how to love. Everyone should know how to love another person, but this child has not gotten the love that they've needed. This child cries internally as well as externally. And I'm telling you, spiritually, I have had a connection with this child. So I'm telling you, if you know of this child, even if the family could adopt, you know, and somebody needs to take care of this situation. CPS has been called, child service has been called on this case with this family in the past. And I'm going to tell you, my oldest brother went into counseling so many times for alcohol. And he even went in one service, we were always going to visit him growing up. And it was largely because he didn't know his father. My father ended up adopting him. But his relationship with my mother was very challenging, you know, and I never liked to hear him cry. I mean, and this brother and I had a problem, you know, growing up. He was abusive towards me. But at the same time, everybody deserves love. You know, everyone deserves love. So if you know of this family, if you know of in any case that you might be able to help, check in on the children. That's all I'm asking. If you have family members and you know that this child has been missing during family occasions, and people might ask about this child, but they don't know that this child is okay or not. This child, I feel like, has been locked away or something and mistreated. And I know what it's like to be mistreated because I went through my own bouts in my childhood, you know, just being able to get away to spend the weekend at a girlfriend's house, sleep away, and just be able to relax and not have the responsibility of taking care of children. You know, I'm telling you, I know. And this boy, he is definitely a little boy. Please, if you know of this family, or if you know of any family, just check in on them, okay? This is Indigo Moon. Let's be in prayer and pray for this family, because I hope that the outcome is going to be a healthy one. Thank you for joining us today.